Hey there. So, you've been dreaming of starting your own street food business out here in California, right? But maybe you've heard it can be, well, a little complicated. Don't you worry, because we're about to clear all that up. In this explainer, we are going to walk you through the entire official roadmap, step by step, to turn that dream into a real, live business. So let's dive right in. Okay, before we get into any of the paperwork, the carts, the locations, stop. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with this one question. What are you going to sell? And listen, this is about way more than just what's delicious. Your menu is, without a doubt, the single most critical decision you're going to make. It's what will dictate your costs, your timeline, and just how complex this whole journey is going to be. You see, that menu choice sends you down one of two very, very different paths. Think of it like a fork in the road. On one side, if you decide to sell only 100% prepackaged, non-hazardous foods, you're on the simple path. You're what's called an exempt CMFO, or compact mobile food operation. And that keyword, exempt. It means you are completely exempt from needing a county public health permit. But the second you do any food prep at all, I'm talking heating something up, mixing a drink, scooping ice cream, you are now on the permitted CMFO path. And that means a public health permit is absolutely mandatory, and things just got a whole lot more involved. So here's our game plan for today. We've just covered that huge first decision. Next up, we'll get into the three main phases of your journey: building your legal foundation, then tackling the health department requirements, and finally, all the prep for your big launch. After all that, we'll talk about where you can actually set up shop, and we'll wrap it all up with the most important takeaways. Here it is, the whole journey in one picture. This is your 9-step process, broken down into those 3 phases we just mentioned. Now, you should know this whole thing, from the very first idea to your first sale, usually takes about 3 to 6 months. So planning ahead is absolutely key. Let's jump into phase 1. First things first, phase 1, building your legal foundation. This is all about making your business a real official thing in the eyes of the government. You can't even think about talking to the health department or picking out a cart until you get these foundational steps done. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are your legal and tax paperwork. Think of it like a stack of building blocks. You start at the very bottom at the federal level by getting an employer identification number, or EIN. Then you move up to the state level and get a California seller's permit. You'll need that to sell any kind of physical product. And finally, you get to your local city business tax certificate. The key thing to remember here is what they call permit stacking. You can't do these in whatever order you want. You have to have your federal and state permits locked in before your city will even look at your application. So once your legal foundation is set, we move on. And this next part, this is the big one. Welcome to phase 2, the core challenge. This is all about navigating the health and safety rules with the county. And let me be perfectly clear about this. This phase is, no question, the most time-consuming, the most complex, and the most expensive part of getting started. Your success here really depends on one thing: making sure your cart design and all your operational plans meet the super strict food safety standards of the California Retail Food Code. So what's the first thing you need to do in this phase? You've got to secure your home base with what's called a Commissary Agreement. Every single permitted cart has to operate out of an approved commissary. This is your hub for daily cleaning, for securely storing your cart and supplies, and for restocking. And look, this isn't just some piece of paper you file away. It's a living agreement. The health department can and will do random checks, and if your agreement ever gets terminated, boom, your health permit is immediately suspended. Now we come to what is very often the single longest part of this entire process. Step 5, the plan check gauntlet. If you're using a new or custom-built cart, you have to submit super detailed design drawings to the county for a plan check. The whole point is to make sure your cart's construction and all its equipment meet every single health and safety code before you spend a single dollar actually building it. Hey, remember that first decision about your menu? Well, here's where it really hits your wallet. As you can see from this chart, the risk level of your menu is what sets the cost for your plan check. A low-risk operation, you might just pay $85 for a standard review. But a high-risk menu, that fee rockets up to over $633. And here's a little pro tip from the source material. If you're in a hurry to get going, you can actually pay more for an expedited review. It's pricey, but it might just be worth it to get to market faster. This right here perfectly shows why those costs are so different. On the left, you've got a simple, low-risk cart. It just needs some basic shade and a way to keep things cool. But look at the high-risk cart on the right. Because you're handling raw ingredients, you need separate sinks,
one just for washing your hands and another for washing your equipment. That's all to prevent cross-contamination. You also need an onboard water heater to make sure you have hot water for sanitizing. The requirements are just on a whole other level. So, after your plans are finally approved and your cart is built, you hit step 6, the final inspection. This is the moment of truth. You'll bring the actual physical cart down to the county's environmental health office. They are going to go over it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure it matches the approved plans exactly. And when you pass, you get the grand prize, your official public health permit. You'll need to have that displayed on your cart at all times.
But hang on, the costs don't stop once you get that permit. You have to renew it every year, and just like the plan check, the fee is tied to your menu's risk level. We're talking anywhere from about $274 to almost $600 a year. The big takeaway here is you've got to be proactive. These startup costs can be a real barrier, so it's a really smart move to look into local financial assistance programs. For example, Los Angeles County actually has programs that can help you cover these fees. All right, you made it through the toughest part. We are officially in the home stretch now with Phase 3, the final mile. This is all about getting ready for launch day. With that big county health permit in hand, the last few steps are all about certifying your team and claiming your spot on the street. Okay, the next steps, 7 and 8, are about making sure everyone on your team knows their stuff when it comes to food safety. There are 2 different levels required. First, at least one person in a management role has to become a Certified Food Protection Manager, or CFPM. Then, every single other employee who touches food needs to get a basic food handler card. And here we are, the last official step in the whole process. Getting your permit to actually operate on the street. This is step 9, and you get this one from the specific city where you want to do business. Using Los Angeles as our example, the annual fee is surprisingly low, just a little over $27. And you might be asking, why so cheap? Well, it's because the city isn't really worried about food safety anymore. The county has already done all of that heavy lifting. This city permit is mostly for administrative stuff, like where you can and can't set up. So you've got all your permits, your team is certified, you're ready to make some sales. But that doesn't mean you can just roll up and park anywhere you want. Now we need to talk about your vending boundaries, the actual rules of the road for your new street cart. This is a really critical point. Your permit does not give you the right to vend wherever you feel like it. For public safety, cities set up restricted zones. So vending is often banned near places like stadiums, schools, and other really high-traffic venues. The other huge rule is that your entire operation has to be self-contained. That means no separate tables, no chairs, no extra umbrellas, no loud generators off to the side. Everything you use has to be physically attached to the cart itself. We have walked through that entire 9-step journey. Now, let's wrap this all up by going over the absolute keys to making sure your launch is a huge success. So, if you're going to remember 3 things from this entire roadmap, make it these 3. First, your main bottleneck, the thing that's going to slow you down the most, is almost always the plan check in step 5. Just assume it's going to take time and make sure your paperwork is perfect to avoid any delays. Second, the biggest driver of your cost and complexity is your menu. A high-risk menu means a more expensive cart and higher fees. Plain and simple. Choose wisely. And third, your best financial strategy is to ask for help. Permitting is expensive, so go out and proactively look for local subsidy programs that can help you out. And there you have it. That's your complete roadmap, from a simple idea to your grand opening. You have the map, you understand the challenges, and you know the keys to a successful launch. The only question left is, what's going to be your first stop on this journey?